Bases dropped one more day from the Central Time Zone. Sorry, I'm now paranoid about my hair. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by. It's Thursday Thoughts. We know what hour number 2 is going to be. Hour number 2 is where we're joined by our friends Nino and Nico, Nino Torres from GOLTV, and our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. We'll go over Club World Cup. We'll go over Major League Soccer. We'll go over the All-Stars. We'll go over salary figures with what they have going through their brains. We'll go through the results yesterday in Club World Cup. We'll talk about no Boca, no River, no knockouts. We'll get into that coming up in hour number 2. And we'll get into Nico's thoughts on the midweek and the Club World Cup and Seattle's involvement in it and what it means to the city and all those kinds of things. That'll be hour number 2. Hour number 1, obviously, we have to talk about what happened last night with Atlanta United and Columbus Crew. It was dominant by Columbus first half, 3-0 in 3 goals, actually, in about 19 minutes. And it was pretty much done at that point. So 3-0 at the half, 3-1 final. Brooks Lennon scoring in the 56th minute after a profoundly long, for why I have no idea, maybe a Matt Edwards, I don't know, handball, maybe, who knows. So after that video review, 3-1, and Atlanta United was chasing. At that point, we can get into individual performances. We'll get into the grades. We'll get into the numbers. We'll get into all of that. And once again, no matchup this weekend with Messi and friends. That got pushed back to October 11th with the Club World Cup still going on. And the irony, instead of it being at the Erector set with Messi and friends come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to take on PSG. That's this weekend. So we also know that it's also going to be Monterrey and Dortmund. That's going to be your second one. And so that's going to be at Mercedes-Benz in two matches in 3 days, and that's what it's going to look like in the knockouts. Like I said, we'll go over what happened as in addition to everything else that's been going on. So whatever is on your mind this morning, in addition to Club World Cup and Midweek Major League Soccer and Atlanta United, it's all on the table. We've got AM news, we got transfers, we got all the things. So probably not necessarily a no dilly, no dally zone, but we'll figure it out. Tomorrow, once again, we are chasing after our guests from Major League Soccer. We may have one of our friends who has been very, very busy in the Club World Cup, not in an airport, and find out what's been going on with one guest and maybe 2 as they've been chasing life in and around the Club World Cup. Next week, let's see. Next week, it is going to be a breakdown. Tuesday is going to be interesting next week. In hour number 2 next week, I don't know if you saw the news, but Atlanta United is going to be in a unified tournament at the end of next month. And we're going to talk to the folks that are in charge of that particular tournament. We're going to be talking to them in hour number 2 on Tuesday. And we're also going to have our friend John Arnold, who is going to let us be completely and totally CONCACAF-inated, and he'll be in hour number 2 as well. So hour number 2 on Tuesday, shaping up to be really cool. We're going to be talking a big unified tournament that Atlanta United is going to be attached to, and we're also going to be looking at what's been going on in the Gold Cup. And we're going to be completely and totally CONCACAF-inated with our friend John Arnold. And by the way, if you do not get his newsletter, get his newsletter. So you, in turn, can be just as CONCACAF-inated as the rest of us. So that's Tuesday in hour number 2. But we just wanted to let you know that those guests are in the barn, and we'll let you know what's going on there. So once again, chasing our guests for tomorrow. 2 of them, hopefully, 1 if not 2, attached to Club World Cup. And we'll let you know what's been going on with them and their busy lives as we get ready for the knockouts in the tournament, and that's coming post-haste, as the kids say. So once again, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Let me see if I can get to the loading here. So there's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us. However you are hanging out with us this morning, you hit that QR code. You start your day with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Then you buy out the store. We recommend you buy out the store, but then you can do it, and by doing it, you can do it at a 15% discount by using the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiative stuff that they have earmarked as cool with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, quick reminders around the horn. You can go to Olive and York and get the first ever SDH jersey. Kaiser Permanente across the front. We could not do a lot of the things that we do without our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Can't thank them for their faith and support in us. You can get your Navy jersey personalized. You can either get it's a Navy jersey. You can either get it personalized in a lighter blue, the light blue, Carolina blue, Columbia blue, double blue, whatever you want to call it, or you can get it in white and consult Alex and Abby for the differences in which direction you could go. Once again, proceeds for that help out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 25. Also helping out Soccer for Good, attached to the Atlanta Public School System and middle school programs that are involved in soccer. It is our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gold embossed sweatshirt, T-shirt, SDH Network logo on one cuff, Grady Baby logo on the other. You can get it in red and black. I am the only one in the house allowed to wear the red because, the boss can't wear the red. So she wears the black, I wear the red, sweatshirt, T-shirt, and our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. And what you can do is you can continue to add to your streaming services and get all the BNs, Nuestro Telecidio, For the Fans, Teise, Liga 1 Max Pro. You get to look into Tigo Sports and Canal 4 in Central America as well. And you get to see leagues that are going on in Europe and in South America and in Central America with our friends at Fanatis at ftz.co/soccer down here. What you can also do is download the Chant app, and you can become a Fanatico. And you can do that at group.chant.fan. So let me see if I can type this in and type this out properly. Let's see. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. I always forget to kind of load this into the system ahead of time, and so it ends up being an adventure. So group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. And what you can do is become a Fanatico for $10 a year. And what you can do is you get a lot of different discounts from a lot of different joints in North Georgia. And you can be a part of this particular platform. And once again, this is net proceeds help out our Soccer for Good campaign. Once again, go to our Chant app, and you can be a part of this part of the Soccer for Good campaign in this community as well. Once again, they're at group.chant.fan at soccer down here /join. So ropes with a CWC question. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. Okay. That is opening kickoff. I think that's all the things where we are trying to continue. Go to soccerdownhere.net. You can buy the gear, and you can also get the retrified logos that Jason has come up with our friends at the Attack and at the Ruckus. You can do that once again at soccerdownhere.net. You can listen to all of our programming when we are live. You get notifications there. You go into the listen section. There's a red siren, I think, in the margins that sits there and says, "Go here." And you can go listen to all the conversations there. So that's all the Soccer for Good stuff and all of the things that are on the bulletin board on our BBS as we go. So on the BBS, and so that is opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, there's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us, as you always do, and you can start your day with Kickoff Coffee, kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee. See what I did there? Kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 when you check out, and you get a 15% discount. They in turn take 10%, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, let's roll through the numbers from what happened last night. Starting lineup, and once again, we knew it was going to be a little different with injuries and such. For Atlanta United, it was 5 at the back. Brad in net. Brad had one of the higher grades on the night. It was Brooks, Miggy, and Brad, 1, 2, and 3. Brooks had a 7.6 with the goal. Miggy had a 7.5. And Brad, with his saves, we'll go through Brad's numbers. He had a 7.2. Back 5, left to right. Pedro Amador, Luis Abram, Ephraim Morales, who got the start last night, Matt Edwards, and Brooks Lennon. it was Bart Sleesh, who was he was your 6. You had Click and Miranchuk as your somewhat attacking midfielders. You had Latte Lot and Miggy behind Latte Lot, and Latte Lot in the attack for Atlanta United. So your stats on the day for particular individuals. So we mentioned Brad, and I wanted to get into Brad's numbers. 7 saves on the night for Brad Gazan. Sorry about the key lighting there. 7 saves. Goals prevented, 1.31. And it was all the saves were inside the 18, 28 touches, 17 of 19 passing for Brad, 3 of 5 on long balls, had 1 dribbled past, and that was it. But 7 saves for Brad last night to give you the 7.2. Brooks got the goal. Like I said, I don't know why they had the prolonged VAR window for Brooks before he ended up getting the goal that cut it to 3-1. Brooks played the full 90, had the goal. It was 3 clearances, 2 blocks, a pick, 3 tackles. Won every ground duel that he had. He was 4 for 5 on the night on his duels. 49 touches, 88% passing at 23 of 26. 1 key pass. Did not connect on any cross. Had 1 long ball connection. Had 1 shot on target, and that was obviously the goal on the night. So that was Brooks' 7.6. Then you had Miggy, who on the night played the full 90, XG of 0.53, XA of a quarter of a point. 2 shots off target, 4 of 7 on the dribble, 1 big chance miss, 52 touches, 85% passing at 29 of 34. 2 key passes, 1 of 2 on long balls, 1 big chance created, 8 of 12 on his ground duels, did not win a duel in the air, so 8 of 14 total, and was fouled once, had a clearance, 3 total tackles, and a dribble passed. So Latte Lot had a 6.1, Click a 6.3, Miranchuk a 6.6. Let me focus on the back line a little bit, and specifically with 2 guys. Efren Morales, once again, is one of the 3 center backs, a 6.6 according to our friends at SofaScore. But what I want to focus on with Efra was how he learned as the game went along. Being put in the starting lineup, and it was difficult at points as he had to race back and defend in transition for one of the goals for Columbus. So on the night for Efra, 6 clearances for Efren Morales on the night last night, 1 interception, 3 tackles, a dribble pass. It was 5 of 8 on duels. He had 2 fouls, 74 touches last night for Efren Morales, 61 of 63 passing for Morales last night at 97%, had the 1 key pass, and then once again, Efra with the 6.6 on the night. He also had the yellow card, so he would have had something probably close to a 7, according to our friends at SofaScore, if he did not have the yellow card. But the yellow card, and as we've been discussing with Efra, you have the mistake early, you learn from the mistake, and then late in the game, you have one of those instances where you're not going to let the Columbus player past you. And so it just so happened that in the eyes of Victor Rivas, who was somewhat uneven in his calls last night, you give Efren Morales a yellow card. That one is, I would say, fairly warranted as a yellow. But, once again, Victor Rivas up and down last night. And so Efren gets the yellow card, finishes once again with a 6.6. Matt Edwards finishing with a 6.8 as another one of the 3 center backs last night. 77 minutes before he was removed, had the 1 assist on the goal by Brooks. 7 clearances for Matt Edwards last night. One pick, 1 total tackle, 1 the only duel he was a part of. 63 touches, 43 of 49 passing at 88%. Key passes, had 1 key pass on the night, had 1 long ball, 1 big chance created, and 1 shot off target. So Matt Edwards had a 6.8 last night. And so one of the other names that I wanted to focus on when it came to Atlanta United was Will Riley. Will Riley came in at the break for Mateus Click, and Will Riley once again reinforced what we have been saying over the last couple of, frankly, if you want to go all the way back to the Cincinnati game at TQL, where Will was forced into service, that Will Riley is playing himself into a starting role for this club. Played 45 minutes last night, and he had 26 touches, 15 of 18 passing at 83%. Long balls, he had the 1 long ball last night. and he had one clearance and one dribble passed in a role that is not a role that he was familiar, that he is known for, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so Will grew into the game, grew into the role that he was asked to play, and I think that you had Will Riley once again play himself into recognition for, if he continues to do well in practice in the day-to-day and what Ronnie Dyla is trying to coach, then I think that Will Riley is playing himself into a starting place. You're creating a bit of a logjam in the midfield, which is a good thing when Tristan Muyumba comes back and he is healthy, to go with Bart Sleesh and Riley and Miranchuk in the more offensive set. Riley playing more of a defensive midfielder role, or a box-to-box midfielder. So you have Tristan, you've got Will, you've got Miranchuk, and so the folks are there in your midfield, and you're looking to have more than just one or two. And the fact that Riley's continuing to grow into his role at the back, it's Matt Edwards, it's Noah Cobb, it's Efren Morales. And Noah came in and played a handful of minutes. He played listed as 13, had the one clearance on the late sub, 6 touches, 5 of 5, 2 for 2 on his long balls. And that was Noah Cobb's night, as he wrapped up with a 6.7. So everybody finishes with 6s that came off the bench. And I know that we'll get into like stats coming up in just a little bit. But one of the things I know that stuck with Jason on the broadcast is coming back for the second half, where you have Noah Cobb, who wasn't playing at that point, but Noah Cobb talking up all of the folks that were going to be out there for the starting 11 for the second 45. That, to me, once again, is another one of those telling things about the younger players who come up through the system, who understand what it means to have that badge be where it is and what it means to wear it. So I know we have a bit of an ongoing theme here this morning, but it's Efren Morales, Matt Edwards, Noah Cobb, Will Riley, the younger guys that are a part of this discussion, and they're the ones that are playing with the, I would say heart on the sleeve, or whatever emotional cliche you want to put in there, but they understand what that crest means. And so if things continue during our normal daily practice, where those 4 individuals are proving themselves that they are worthy of getting a starting nod, then that should be the case. Obviously, you have to monitor Derek Williams' injury, so that creates opportunities at the back. You've got to monitor Tristan Muyumba's rehab, and that's creating opportunities in the midfield. You got to keep an eye on Stian Gregerson, and that's now 2 months, I believe. I think that was the term that Ronnie Dyla used the other day, where Stian has been out of the lineup. So once again, creating an opportunity for folks like Matt Edwards at that right center back location. So all of these things leaning into the younger players that we have covered here at SDH, going through their time with the twos and the academy and so on. And now they're getting the chances to show themselves and to show what it has meant to them coming through this system and getting the chance to play first team minutes. So that's just another indicator for me, another one of those elements with the younger players that showed itself last night through Noah Cobb once again, and once again as Efren Morales was learning while he was learning. It was learning live, basically, what was being asked of him in game state in a difficult situation in Columbus, and so that's where we were. So once again, continuing to look at Will Riley, look at Efren Morales, and he continues. Matt Edwards as he continues. Noah Cobb as he continues. You got the younger players that, once again, Ronnie Dyla not afraid to play the younger guys if they are the ones that are shining in practice. All right, let's get through the stats on the night. We knew that this was going to be the case, that Columbus was going to want the ball. By the time it was done, it was 2-1 in possession, 63% to 37. So that's not a surprise. And with what Columbus was doing with the pressure to try to regain the ball when they did lose it, it was one of those nights where they pressured. I'm not going to say press because there's that indication that it's a part of, what we're used to with, say, like a Red Bullsian approach to things. So you have pressure coming from Columbus when they don't have the ball. Then when they do get the ball, depending on where that pressure creates the turnover, you've got a short field creating chances, and that's what happened in the match. Or when they do create pressure in their own half, and then they have possession, and then they work the ball from side to side, and they have what we were discussing yesterday with Chris Doran and what we're used to seeing with the Columbus Crew, where you have the center backs become engaged. And basically it's like, release the hounds, here come the center backs, and you're creating numerical advantages and trying to create decisions for Atlanta United's or anybody in Major League Soccer's defense to try and figure out, okay, how are we defending all of these folks? That's what you were facing. So the possession number, not a surprise. 2-1 by the end of the night with the Columbus Crew. 5 big chances to 3 by the end of the night. Total shots 19-9 for Columbus. We mentioned the 7 saves for Brad Gazan, only 1 for Evan Bush on the night. It was 16 fouls by Victor Rivas. And this was, once again, part of the general discussion. And like I said, I'm putting it to the side with everything that we've been discussing. But Victor Rivas, uneven last night, and the personification of the foul numbers, I think, is part of that. 12-4. 16 fouls called by Victor Rivas. I think that's at least 8 under his number on average this season in Major League Soccer. But 12-4, only 4 fouls called on Columbus. That I find interesting now that I look back at it in retrospect. 15 tackles to 13 by Atlanta United. Free kicks on the night, 12-4, once again because of the fouling numbers. 4 yellow cards for Atlanta. And one of those yellow cards means that I believe Bart Sleesh will not be available for the matchup in D.C. in a week and a half. So yellow card accumulation means that Bart Sleesh will not be available. So once again, creates an opportunity for a Will Riley or the health of Tristan Muyamba in the matchup in D.C. in a week and a half. So 4 yellow cards for Atlanta, only 1 for Columbus on the night. We mentioned total shots, 19-9, shots on target, 10-2, blocks on the night, 4-1, shots inside the box, 16-7 for Columbus Crew on the night. 2 big chances scored, 2-1. Big chances missed, 3-2. Through balls, 3-1. Touches in the penalty area nearly doubled at 44-19. Fouls in the final third, 2-0. Atlanta United with the advantage there. It was passes in the final third, and once again, it comes from just being in possession and being what you want to be when it comes to Columbus. It was about a 3-1 margin and just total number of passes. Long balls, 20-14, not too bad. Crosses that completed the same number, 2 each. Duels 54-46 in possession. Aerial duels 50-50. And it was 7-6 for Atlanta defending. Total tackles 15-13 for Atlanta United. Interceptions 8-3. More recoveries for Columbus. More clearances for Atlanta United at 24-18. 2 errors leading to shots on goal. And then once again, the error leading to a goal in and of itself. And we mentioned Brad's numbers. 7 saves on the night. Goals prevented, a 1.31. 3 big saves for Brad, and you can pretty much name what those were. 1 high claim for Evan Bush, 7 goal kicks on each side. So those are your stats on the night in the 3-1. In the 3-1 win for Columbus. And Jason Russell Rowe ends up with 2 goals in 10 minutes to get his brace. Herrera had the goal in the 23rd. Then Jason Russell Rowe, the first goal beating Brad to the short side. I know that has been a lot of discussion after that happened last night. Then Brooks Lennon with the goal in the 56th. And that's where we are with Atlanta United in the 3-1 loss over the 3-1 loss to Columbus Crew on the night. And so getting into the standings, and I'll say hi to everybody once the standings pop up, if they decide that they're going to pop up. So this is nice. So standings on the standings in the league right now. We'll go Eastern Conference to focus, and then we'll start on other things. We'll get what's on your mind this morning, and then get into the rest of Major League Soccer. Then once again, Nino Torres joining us at 10, Niko Moreno to discuss Club World Cup and the Western Conference and everything else going on in Major League Soccer. That's coming on at 10:30 in about an hour, last half hour of the show. So Eastern Conference right now, 19 matches played for most. Philadelphia's at 40 points, 4 points clear of FC Cincinnati. Nashville's at 35. Columbus Crew at 34. Purple Team's at 33. So that's group number one in the Eastern Conference right now. That gets you 1 through 5. Messi and friends have 3 matches in hand. So if you were to add 9 points, that would put them second and still 2 points behind Philadelphia. But 16 matches, 29 points. Red Bulls at 28 points. Same number of wins as NYC. NYC has played 1 less match, 28 points for both. Red Bulls 8-4-7, and NYC is 18 matches played at 28 points. That's 7-8. Charlotte, who has lost 3 of 5, by the way, they are at 25 points, and they have 1 more win than Chicago Fire. So that is why they're the 9. The Fire are the 10. Revs at 23 points. They have hit each column once in their last 5. Actually, they're 1, 2, and 2 in their last 5. They're at 23 points. DC United's at 18. Atlanta United 17. And Toronto is at 14 with 18 matches played. The Revs have 2 matches in hand, 1 or 2 around those around them. And the CF Montreal 2-5-12 on the year, 16 goals scored, 36 allowed. They are at 11 points at the bottom of the stack in the Eastern Conference. They have lost 3 of 4. That's the Eastern Conference. Once again, we'll get into the Western Conference and everything with Nico coming up in hour number 2. We'll go over the All-Stars. We'll go over the salary numbers, just in general, looking at the top 10, top 20, the top 10, the top 20, and just the stuff that has kind of poked out when it came to just news and notes and observations when it came to All-Stars and salary. We'll get into that here in just a little bit as well. But let me say hi to everybody who is in here this morning. Morning, David. Morning, Alex. And yes, note the absence of the word good in Alex's greeting. Morning, Ropes. Could there be an inter-derby? There could be. Let's see. There could be an inter-derby. We'll follow along in the Club World Cup. Morning, Pars. Derek, Mike had some pretty stark numbers last night in his postings for up-to-date numbers when it comes to Atlanta United over the last little bit. So Mike's numbers, let me go back to, hang on just a second. So nothing like having it. You thought you had it, but then you didn't. The story of my existence on social media. Okay. So Mike posted some numbers last night on social media. And so here's what Mike posted. The last 50 road competitions, Atlanta United has 8 wins, 18 draws, and 24 losses. In their last 100 competitions, Atlanta United has 29 wins. Not even a third. So you can't sit there and go a third. Outscored 9-0 in their last 225 minutes. And so those were the numbers that Mike posted last night on his social media. But good morning, Derek. Alex, I think VAR was checking to see if the keeper had his hands over the ball at any point. It was hard to see with so many bodies inside the 6. It was. And the only thing that I could figure in the VAR review was the notion of where Matt Edwards was. Edwards, his left shoulder, and it made like brief contact with the ball before it hit the turf. And so I was wondering if it was something involving Matt and contact, which really would have driven folks crazy if it was somewhere here in Matt's uniform, and then the goal would have been disallowed. That was just me. But by the end of it all, it ended up with the correct decision, ball in the net, goal for Brooks Lennon, and it made it 3-1 at that point. Pars is in this morning, and as I shuttle my way down, Pars with a question. On and off for the last month, we've been hearing those that don't want to be here. Who do we think that is, and how many do we see leaving in the window? I don't know. I mean, the first one, I don't know. I don't know if you're looking at those that don't want to be here. And I mean, if you were to extrapolate the idea of how you carry yourself on the field, I mean, I don't think that you see. I don't think you see anyone when they start looking all mopey moperson, and I just made that term up. I don't think you see somebody who just is all droopy dog and just slumped shoulders and the whole bit. I can't believe I was picked for the 18. I don't think that you have that. I don't think you have any of those individuals. But I don't know what that translates into. So once again, let me put this up here. Who do we think it is? Those that don't want to be here. Like I said, I don't think that you have anyone in the locker room once they are picked to be in the starting 11 that sits there and goes, damn it, I'm in the starting 11 again. I don't think you've got that. But you would at some point, I would imagine, and this is probably just discussing it with the individual. No cameras, no nothing. Where it's like, okay, I know you're at a point of a level of frustration. Do you want to continue to try and help get the club out of that place? Or are you, individual, to the point to where you think it's untenable and you just want to, try and go someplace else? I don't know who those individuals are. Like I said, that's a question that has to be asked of each individual. But yeah, I don't think off the top of my head you're sitting there and you're going, I don't want to be in the start. That would be an easy pick to sit there and say, well, yeah, okay, then all right, then I know you don't want to be here. So I don't think that, those individuals exist that you're going to sit there and be, I don't want to be here. God, why did you pick me for the starting 11? I don't think I don't think that those individuals necessarily exist. But you do have individuals, obviously, that are very frustrated with what's going on the field, whether it's connections, lack of recognition in game state. Hey, you're not passing to me, I'm open. Those kinds of things. Those things that you think that you can contribute to going forward when it comes to offense and things like that. But I do think that you have situations now where, and this is and this goes back to our initial point this morning about the younger players that have come up through the system. I still would like to see, and I don't know how many of you had multiple devices up and running last night, but you had in the Club World Cup last night, you had it was Avila for River, and it was, as River was chasing the equalizer late, you had a group of individuals in River that was chasing after an equalizer, and they were diving into tackles, and they were running around stereotypically with their stereotypic hair on fire, chasing after an equalizer for River going up against Inter last night in the Club World Cup. Down 1-0 with 20 to go, and they were spending that last 20 minutes running around, trying to gain possession, fouling when they needed to stop a run, getting a yellow when they needed to stop a run, those kinds of things. And it was hard tackling. It was some nasty stuff that was going on. But that was the level of desperation that you saw from River last night. And one player in particular, Marcos Acuna, literally it was to the point to where when River players were sticking into tackles and they were taking out, individuals, and you're getting whistles and the whole thing, Marcus Acuna literally turned to the inter bench, and it was the equivalent of, okay, yeah, let's get it on. I mean, literally, Marcus Acuna was staring at the inter bench, and he was ready to go. And the inter coaching staff was, doing all of the hand signals and everything that you're used to seeing that we need translation from Nick, but we can pretty much guess what they were saying. Marcus Acuna was ready to drop hands and ready to go. I think that is what you're missing when it comes to moments and matches from Atlanta United. I think that you're looking at that kind of, fire in the belly, if you want to use it that way, that kind of spirit that is attached to moments when, okay, you're down, don't hang your head. You're down 2, don't hang your head. You're down 3, still keep chasing. You're still, that whole thing of the not giving up mentality and doing whatever it takes and representing the shirt. So I want to go back to the Marcus Acuna, and this is just one response to Marcus Acuna from River on social media last night. Like I said, as River is chasing after an equalizer, they eventually would lose 2-0, but they're down 1-0 with 20 to go. And like I said, Marcus Acuna is running around all over the place. This was an example of fans of River on social media reaching out to Marcus Acuna. And this is Google translated. Thank you, Marcus Acuna, for playing the game you should play for River Plate. You're the most valuable asset we have. The entire Monumental Stadium will cheer you like never before. And that was what you saw you got that from Marcus Acuna last night from River, once again, as they were chasing after an equalizer. I think that a lot of folks, and I think it would be a fair assessment if we were all sitting in a room that you need to see on a continuing basis the chasing after it, the want to, whatever you want it, whatever southern or southeastern phraseology you want to use, it's associated with the sports that we watch and teams that are trailing or teams that are trying to come back, or both. It's that want to gene that we hear about in college football. Those kinds of things. I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that this is one of the things that you, 17s, are looking for out of your players. You want to see them chasing after things. You want to see them sticking into tackles like we did with Efrain Morales late in the match, where Efra was like, no, that's not going to happen, and you go for the hard foul, and Victor Rivas decided he was going to card Efra in the unevenness that was his monitoring of the match last night. I think that's what you're looking for. If you're losing, go down fighting. I think that, and now, like I said, if I'm wrong, let me know when it comes to what you, 17s, are looking for when it comes to these kinds of things. And I get the distinct impression probably that we're not going to get into All-Star. We're not going to get into things. We might with Nico in hour number 2. But I would think that as frustrated as you are when it comes to this season, handful of seasons, however far back you want to go, that you would like to see more fire. You would like to see them sticking into tackles. You'd like to see folks sticking up for the shirt. You'd like to see more of what you saw from Noah Cobb last night at the 45 getting ready for the second half, where he's the one dapping up all the players who are getting ready for the second half. I think that you're wanting to see more stuff like that. That doesn't blend itself into the idea of who do we think doesn't want to be here. I think it just reinforces that you do want to be here. So I'm kind of taking Pars's point and I'm kind of turning it a little bit. So I think that You're wanting to see more, I don't want to use the word engagement, but you want to see you want to see them show that they're invested in the crest. Let me know if that's the right phraseology. I think that that's what you're getting. I think that that's what you're staring at. I think and that's where I am here with what Pars is. Who do we think doesn't want to be here? I don't want to necessarily. I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody's sitting there going, "Damn, I can't believe I get picked for the starting 11." But I think that you do experience or you will see, players that might be just like, what, maybe it's good if we just kind of go our separate ways and have the breakup. It's not you, it's me, whatever. How many do we see leaving in the window? And Unk has doubts that you'll see significant movement out of the summer window. I don't know, man. Summer window, it's and this is the other thing. You've got a month between now and the beginning of the summer window. Check your sources, check your sources, check your sources. When it comes to anyone, really, and what the summer window is going to look like. There was a rumor that was out there last week involving an Atlanta United player, and the person on the 280 character app had five figures worth of followers. But that's the other element in all of this when it comes to the summer window. Does it get to a point of such frustration that it's like, look, we're going to start the kids. We're going to let them, with some key veteran positioning. We're going to start the kids. We're going to see what we've got and get ready for 20, get ready for 20, 25, 26. 26. Do we get to that point? What does that look like and when do we get there? I think that the next month will tell you that. You've got the matchups that are laid out there. And you know what you're facing as you head out of league play and into Leagues Cup. Leagues Cup is at the end of July. That might be your first marker. Obviously, it's like, okay, so you're not in MLS play, but you're in Leagues Cup play. Do you start drifting players in and out to sit there to integrate and get them ready to hit the ground at the end of Leagues Cup for whatever is left in the season at that point, the regular season for Major League Soccer, to see what happens? Don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to lay out scenarios, looking at the calendar. Okay, be prepared for this, this, and this. This is the life of a television talent / producer, what have you. It is think of every possible outcome and go from there. Make sure that you have every single element covered in your discussion and going forward. So, don't know how busy. Check your sources, check your sources, check your sources. But there's a month. And when you're looking at everything that's going on, I know that you've all set your notifications on all of your social media and everything. When you see a rumor that is out there, first thing you need to do is check that individual, check the number of sources that's attached, look at the followers, look at their history. There are those tier ones that are out there. There are tier ones that are out there. And we can differentiate tier 1, tier 2, et cetera. We'll do that with you as we go. But if things do not continue, if things continue to go down a path, keep an eye on the summer window. And then you'll see what the philosophy may be when it comes to the rest of the 25 season and getting ready for 26 and hitting the ground running. So we'll see. That's kind of where we are. Like I said, Unk has doubts about the window. No one wants these players or contracts. Don't be too sure. Don't be too sure. What you can do in a situation like this, if you are, if and the thing about this particular sport is that you don't tie yourself to, when it comes to analysis. If you're a general manager, or if you're director of player personnel, if you're a head coach, you're not going to tie yourself necessarily to a team result. You're not buying a club, you're looking at a player. You're looking at what that player can do for you in your setup with individuals that are attached. So don't necessarily tie yourself to sit there and go that no one wants, player A, B, C, or D. You'll look at past results. You'll look at context of elements and who can do what where. Well, if I put this player in this situation, surround them with these players, so on and so forth. So don't be too sure. The demand will be there, but what you will probably see, and with any club that is having difficulty, you will see people come in and try to sit there and undervalue an asset. And then it will be up to that front office with that player. Okay, is it worth it for that player to be moved on and just take a financial loss? So that'll be a part of the discussion too. Look at distressed assets, look at players, try to undervalue them, and see if the team that currently has that asset will be in accepting of that kind of an offer. So that's the other part of this, the economics of the deal. Keep an eye on your sources, keep an eye on the economics. Some teams and some businesses might be more served at taking losses financially in these windows. Just depends on who it is. And we'll monitor all of this, and we can sit there and look at the economics of it going forward as well. I believe, Pars, we do have the second. Pars is asking about the buyout, and Derek says, I believe that we do. I believe we still have the one buyout. I believe that still does exist, the second buyout. So you're looking at that. Pars discussing the back line. Tom discussing timelines and everything. He doesn't know if he has the stomach or the patience. And Unk, thank you for the compliment. Yeah, it's like silver lining's looking pretty dull after 5 seasons of mediocrity. I mean, yeah, I mean you gotta, but you look at injuries, you're looking at all these things, and yeah, I mean I would be frustrated too if I was making the financial investments that I would be making to look at clubs, to be there attached to a club. But that's what being a fan is. You're there through the thick and the thin. You're there through the difficult times. You're there through the hard times. You're there with your fellow fans to work your way through it and to be there together as a part of this whole thing. All right. So let's see, more with Tom, more with Unk. Let's see. And then Alex going back and forth on with Unk about Bart Sleesh. I mean, like Unk, it's news. Unk is like, are we really going to discuss the All-Stars? We're a morning show. We're a news show, and it's part of the discussion. It's on a rundown. If we get to it, we get to it. But if there are things to talk about, then we continue to talk about them. Like I said, it's there. Like I said, the MLSPA salary figures, they're there. It's a story. The All-Star naming, that's a story. But if we continue to talk about certain things and that stuff still ends up on the whiteboard, then that's on the whiteboard, So then David, morning David, when our Jeff and Parky are Jay and Noah, we have a problem. Not that they're capable, they just don't have the history to make the impact with their teammates. And that's a discussion that David is having with Alex. Counterpoint from Alex. We shouldn't need to see more fire. We aren't a plucky team trying to overachieve. We're spending big. They should be putting in professional performances. And Alex, I think that fire is a part of it. I think that it is. And I mean, I know that there are athletes that are wired differently, and you end up with different approaches, and you blend them all together, and you end up with the team that you have. But I would also like to think that if you are trying to navigate a situation from a negative to try and turn it into a positive, it's like you need those folks that can be there to turn the energy around for you. That, like I said, that's just me. I think that you need to have folks with those motivational things, so you don't have folks who are hanging their heads and slumping the shoulders. And you need to have those folks that have those constant reminders of, okay, let's still navigate this, and let's still chase after results, and we can still do this. If they've scored X, we can score X. Those kinds of things. So I think that those energy guys do need to be there, especially when you need the energy, instead of just standing there and being, in your own silo. But I think that it's telling to a degree when you have one of your younger players be the one to remind everybody to keep their energy up and, focus on what's going forward. Tom, you don't want to get rid of all of them. And I know that that's somewhat rhetorical. Let's see. So Pars wants to know about traditionally starting to hear about season tickets. I think that you have in some circles. Emilio, I know that this is tongue in cheek, but yeah, Emilio. So maybe it was the officiating. Not this time. I mean, it is a separate aisle that we do discuss. And there were some issues with Victor Rivas last night, specifically with consistency. And that's what I want. I would like to have consistency when it comes to administrating of calls and that kind of a thing. And I think that as a fan, you should want that. And I would think that pro would want that in their officials as well, that you don't want them flying around all over the place with inconsistencies. And I understand that refs have their own personalities and their own administration, but not from match to match. I get that they have their own approaches in these kinds of things, but, it's just be consistent match to match. That's kind of where we're at. Let's see. Morning, Katie Weaver. Well, and Katie says she wasn't loving Saba as a super sub. You got to figure a way to get him in, and it's starting with Miggy on the bench. Last night with Saba on the bench, it was more because of you knew Columbus wanted the ball. And so if you're not going to have possession the majority of the time, because Columbus, when they have it, they're going to sit there and they're going to pass the ball back and forth a lot. That was a tactical decision when it came to the other side. That was not, Saba as a super sub was situational. I do not believe it to be something that was a constant. It is just because of the situation that you're dealing with Columbus as to why you started Brooks and not Saba. So Saba you were not going to be running around as much for the entire match on that right-hand side if you were trying to determine who your right back was going to be. So that was strictly a tactical thing. It was not a constant thing to anticipate. It was just from what Columbus does with the ball. Morning, Wiley. Let's see. David has a rant about the back line, and that's a lot of stuff. He talks about Derek, Luis, Latelot, Miranchuk, Sleesh, Lennon, Miggy, Saba, Brooks, Jay, and Brad. So David has a lot of folks in his magnifying glass this morning when it comes to what's going on. And David discussing Matt Edwards. The team, Par's asking how much of the team is Gart's and how much of it's still before. And so Garth's been here since November 22. So that Wiley's doing the math at 5 windows. So going back and looking at those. But yeah, and so it's a combination of Carlos and Garth. So you had Carlos Bocanegra, who was there when Garth was CEO. And so it was Garth on the administrative side, the executive side, and the Carlos at the end of his tenure, and then Garth was acting, and then he's brought in Chris Henderson. So it is not. So Garth Lagerwey has been 5 windows, but he has been an executive in 5 windows with interim administrative elements as a GM while you were transitioning from Carlos to Chris. So that's 5 windows as an executive. He has not been. He has been the executive in this process for 5 windows. He has been consulting for, a part of the discussion for those windows when Carlos was in charge. Then he was the interim, and now with Chris Henderson in. So it's 5 windows. 5 windows as an executive, if math is correct. So that's where we are. Hour number 2. And thanks for dropping by this morning. And I'd figured that the discussion was going to be a lot about Atlanta United, whether it was philosophical or with what happened last night in Columbus. Like I said, Niko Moreno is going to be joining us in hour number 2. We'll discuss everything from the Pacific perspective. We'll get into the weekend matches, and we'll get you into what happened out west last night. Last night, by the way, Red Bulls and Toronto a 1-1 draw. Nashville's 3-2 winner at New England. And Cincinnati 3-1 winners in Montreal. Purple team doubled up all caps by the final of 4-2. Sporting was trailing 1-0 to Charlotte, and then Sporting comes back to win 2-1 at the end. Minnesota United 3-1 winner over the Houston Dynamo. San Jose 4-2 in Dallas over FC Dallas. Philadelphia 1-0 over Chicago Fire. Colorado 2-0 over LAG. And San Diego in an absolute street fight, 5-3 over Vancouver at a plus 213 on the road. Vancouver obviously had a lot of absences involving anyone and everyone involved with international duty. So that was a big blanking street fight with San Diego and Vancouver. Okay, it is hour number 2, and we know what that means on a Thursday. It means that we're going to go fully loaded, and so that means that we go to Lima, Peru, and we catch up with our buddy Nino Torres, where we sit there and we go, yellow, yellow, yellow.
I'm all right, bro. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer down here, fans. Nino Torres with you. Early morning here in Lima, Peru. It's chilly, it's windy. It's kind of like, August almost is around the corner here in Lima. So I don't know why people love the winter, man. I'm not a winter guy, man. I'm not a winter guy. Look at me, hoodie inside my house. Why? Why would I wear that, man? I don't like that, man. And people, oh yeah, I like winter. I like the hoodies. No, brother. Give me the bitch all the time, all day.
So who is the hoodie, by the way? We inquiring minds want to know. There it is, Barcelona.
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of, depending on which Barcelona you're talking about, our man Sir Second Castle, he's out the door. So the SDH bump will be following Sir Second Castle wherever he goes, and Barcelona for sending Sir Second Castle and his sartorial splendor on the way. Barcelona may not get the SDH bump anymore because of how they have jettisoned one of the most stylish individuals on this planet.
You know, but I think it was a good story. It was a good story for the Copa Libertadores. A little bit of a color, but you gotta back it up, brother. You gotta back it up with your game, with your team, with your players, because if you're gonna put up with the ball at your feet. And I was gonna wear I forgot, man.
No doubt.
My Kai Kamara jersey. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. My Columbus Crew Kamara jersey. And I got a quick story, guys, for you. I know Jason Jason was in Columbus last night, right? That's why I texted him.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
texting back and forth. He was sending me the pictures from the stadium, and asked for a favor. Right? Then only if you can, you can do this for me. If you have a chance, I didn't know that he was flying back the same night. I didn't know that, right? But I asked him, just please go to the Fado Irish Pub in Eastern Town Center in Columbus and go ask for the manager, Moni, and tell him that Nino says hi, right? But yeah, I'm sorry, brother. I'm flying back with the team tonight, but I'll do it next time. He promised me, so he's going to do it.
Okay, yeah. So whenever whenever any of us have substantive time in Columbus, Ohio, we're supposed to go to Fado and check in with the manager. And so we will do that. I wanted to discuss Club World Cup with you, and I also wanted to discuss our buddy John Texter. Considering Botafogo and Lyon and relegation and paying your bills and all this stuff. I've kind of compared him to the wimpy character in the Popeye cartoon. It's like, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. And so literally, so let's start. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Botafogo and financing, or do you want to start with no River, no Boca, no knockouts?
I would like to go River Boca, brother, because this is the thing, right? In Argentina, they still believe that they are superpowers. They're not superpowers now. Right now, they're all names. It's all about the badge. It's all about the cabinet with all those trophies. Well, the last trophy won by River Plate was in 2018. All right. Boca Juniors hasn't won since 2007 the Copa Libertadores. So, and it hasn't qualified for the Copa Libertadores again for second year in a row. And they are in jeopardy to qualify for the Copa Libertadores for the third straight year. And this is a massive disaster for Juan Román Riquelme, leading the way for Boca Juniors. I got here. Depending on where you at in the globe, you got different ESPN, right? We at ESPN, everything's Argentina here. Everything is Argentina here. So I got these guys talking to me, la 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 la. Brother, you're gonna go to the World Cup and you're gonna get crushed. You're gonna get crushed. Your team is not where you think it is. They're not, and there it is. That's the result, right there. Boca Juniors. I think that's a disaster because they lost their spot to this semi amateur team from Oakland, who collected 17 goals in the previous two games and they couldn't score once, and they didn't even win. They didn't even beat them. And no, that's a disaster. This is a disaster for Boca Juniors. And then River, who was slightly better. Slightly better than Boca, right? But I was listening to this today, and I was like, I cannot believe that you're saying this. Yeah, because the Europeans, they have longer strides, and they are stronger than us. No, they're not. Don't say that. Don't say that. Okay, you're saying that they're more prepared, athletic, and more prepared than you. No. So then don't sell South American players to the top leagues in the world. Don't sell them because they're not going to compete. Because they can't compete, right? Because they're so far behind in the athletic department, they can't compete. So they were saying that we're coming up with this and they're ahead of us and la, la, la. The truth of the matter is the quality of these two teams is way below the standards. Way below the standards. I don't care that they spend $60 million River and Boca spent like $35 million. So combined of $100 million on the pitch. This is big money, Johnny, man. This is big money. We're talking about European money here. $100 million in signings for these two teams. And they both crap. I'm sorry, but they re-signed players that played for them before 10, 7, 8 years ago. And pretending they're gonna perform at the level that they were when they left. No. And that's the biggest problem for them. That they signed the players because of what they were, not because of what they are now.
I want to go back to something that you said, that they've got longer strides and prepare. What is that?
Yes, that's the delusional Argentinian media that they come up with these ideas sometimes. I told you they're delusional. I told you a couple of weeks ago, didn't I?
You did, but the fact that they've got longer strides and
Yeah. They have the training sessions are more intense than ours.
That makes my head hurt trying to figure out the logic of it.
They
But,
don't.
I mean-
They're. I mean, when they lose, they come up with these incredible arguments about it. Oh yeah, because of this and that. No, bro, no. You lost because you're behind in quality. You're behind in the tactics. You're behind you're staying in where you think you were before, but no, no. I mean, the replay didn't qualify for what last year was 8 quarterfinals. Quarterfinals. They were outside in the quarterfinals last year and the year before. And Boca Juniors went to the finals of the Copa Libertadores because of penalties. Without scoring a single goal, they qualified to the finals. Right? All the penalty shootout after the penalty shootout, and they thought, oh, we reached the finals again. No, this is all an illusion. It's all an illusion. And right now they're having meetings in Buenos Aires, especially for Boca Juniors. They're already parted ways with Marcos Rojo, but they're like, Johnny, they're like 7 more players that they need to part ways with. At least 7.
Wow.
Because they're not up to the standards. They're not ready. Russo already have encounters, not friendly encounters with players, and they're it's a soap opera right now, man. Boca Juniors, really not too much because they trust Gallardo, and they believe in Gallardo, and they know that Gallardo is going to handle it, right? But with Boca it's different because they just fire a coach. This is a coach that's been on the job for like 3 weeks. They ousted this coach. They snatched this coach from San Lorenzo. He was under contract with San Lorenzo, but they brought him in to Boca Juniors again. They love to do this thing. I don't know why. Why don't go ahead and get a coach that is available, not a coach which is under contract? They did it with Gallo. They did it with Russo. With Almiron. The last two. They're doing everything wrong in Boca Juniors, man. Everything.
Well, and you say the debate about who's bigger it's over. River Plate, you can take Boca's license plate numbers because you were left behind forever.
And that's on the fan base. That's there's no argument that the most popular club is Boca Juniors. You saw the atmosphere, Johnny. You saw the bars. You saw they're way bigger, more intense than River Plate. I was watching the Inter River yesterday, and you see, they got a lot of people, but it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. It's Boca is you can tell that the people from Boca Juniors they're singing their hearts out. It's infectious. The Boca Juniors fan base, man. You want to be a Boca Juniors fan. You want the jersey. When it's with River Plate, it's kind of like, we're like this. Yeah, we're bigger than you.
Yeah.
But prove it. Show it to me. You have to just walk like this.
Yeah.
Different.
It's not about having your chest puffed out. You actually have to puff your chest out and actually show that it's.
No. The Boca is bigger. It's over. All the Argentinians out there, this. Boca's bigger than yours. Bigger than yours. River Plate. Just take the license plate numbers. Follow me.
I mean, it was crazy. And speaking of crazy, what if I told you? And this is Nino talking. What if I told you that I intentionally burned the family's car to cash the money from the insurance company so I could go.
It wasn't me, by the way. Let's clarify that. It wasn't me, all right? I'm not the protagonist of that story, but this River Plate fan who did that, who burned his car. He was trying to sell it first, right? He couldn't get the money.
Yeah, and no one wanted to buy it for the
and
10
then
grand.
Boom, he set up the car.
I don't know. My car caught on fire. I don't know what happened.
I got to buy some tickets for the World Cup, but I don't know what's going on. So he did that. And his wife is about to divorce him. He's going to talk about, maybe he's way out of it, maybe.
Well, but then, first off, you don't do an interview on television explaining what. First off, I mean, seriously, don't do an interview. Don't have somebody, when somebody sticks a mic in your face, don't talk about the fact that you set your car on fire on purpose just to take your family to the Club World Cup. I understand that fans are insane. I understand that you want to go see your team play. I get it. I understand that you want to that you want to now was this was a River guy or a Boca guy? Okay, all right. So it's a River guy. So you know that 10 grand really has to you've really got to blow the 10 grand because you're taking your family here. Boca, you would have been line dancing in Nashville. River, you're playing Inter out on the West Coast for this last match. Don't, when a microphone's in your face, don't tell folks, well, yeah, I set my car on fire and I got the insurance money. The guy might end up in jail when he gets home because he admits on tape and on camera, yeah, I set my car on fire. Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do
that, please. It's too late now. It's too late. It's already said and done. But my God, people is crazy, man. People is crazy.
Yeah, and since we're talking Club World Cup, you mentioned the aftermath. Porto was out, then they were in, then they were out by the time they were done. So the math became involved with Porto. Porto's not engaged. Anselmi will be out this weekend, is what you're also telling me.
Porto arrived from the World Cup, and all the fans, they were like booing the boss and everything. But they had a meeting the very next day. They arrived like at 2 a.m. 8 o'clock, the meeting was set. 8 o'clock, right, in Porto. Vilas Boas with Anthony Zubizarreta took a meeting with Anselmi and his staff. And the outcome of this meeting, was this. They're trying to, part ways with Anselmi, but Anselmi won't resign a single dime. All right, I'm not gonna give you a single dime because you're asking me to leave. All right, I'm not gonna do that. So if it's your call, why would I get come up with the money for this? All right, it's not like I'm doing my part, you're doing your part. No. Anselmi's like, no. If you're gonna fire me on the spot. Tell me what you owe.
Yeah,
I got a contract for 2 years. They paid $3 million to Cruz Azul to get him out of Cruz Azul, to get him out of contract for Cruz Azul. But now they have to pay the $2 million for this year and the $2 million for the next year. So it's a $7 million investment, right? investment. But Anselmi he's not gonna back up. He's not gonna back down from those numbers. Not a single dime, and that's where they are now. And but they say that they're gonna have another meeting today. Probably what time is in Portugal? About 3 p.m. They already have it, man.
Yeah.
But the idea is to get to terms quick. Whatever, I mean, it's gonna be quick. It's not gonna take like a month negotiations or anything like that. No, it's gonna get done quick, and most likely by the weekend he'll be out or not out or The- I don't know. I don't know. Villas was is crazy because he's not only it's not only Anselmi, all right. It's also Anthony Subizarreta, who is the technical director for Porto. His job is in jeopardy now. So it's gonna might be two guys gone by Monday in Porto.
Okay. And you mentioned Boavista did not sign for Liga
Liga
2 and Lyon.
Yeah, Leon.
Yeah.
We're talking about Leon. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Right. They got relegated because of their can't pay their fees, can pay the electricity bill, and yeah, they got relegated for that. But Boavista, they were already relegated, right?
Yeah.
Already,
Yes.
right? The season is about to start in August. That's around the corner. They need to sign the papers and everything else. Boavista's like, yeah, you know what? I don't think we're gonna play this Liga 2, the second division in Portugal. What? Bro, you gotta sign your team for the competition. Yeah, but maybe it's we forgot about this, man. Can we get another deadline for this? So this team might disappear, Johnny, man. It might disappear. This is how bad the situation is in Porto now. And it's a shame because it's a very traditional team, one of the largest fan bases in the country, and they're gonna let it go. They're gonna just let it disappear like that. If they don't sign for the Liga Dos or second division by Monday, they're not playing. So they're not playing Liga Dos. So I gotta check on that. But it might be automatically set up for the third division. They're gonna skip from the first to third. I gotta check into that, but we'll get back to you with that exact and complete information for next week. But if by Monday they don't sign for the Liga Dos, I don't know, Bobby. I don't know.
Yeah, and so you mentioned our buddy over at Lyon, John Texter, and Eagle Football Holdings. Palmeiras and Botafogo are playing on Saturday here in the U.S. in the Club World Cup in Philly. And I have already told folks, I said, look, if you're going as a neutral, don't wear green, don't wear black. And I know that it's a city that wears Kelly green with black trim with the Philadelphia Eagles. I know this. I know this. Do not,
please.
If you're not a fan of Palmeiras and wearing green, and I mean like green and white green. If you're not a fan of Botafogo wearing the dress blacks or the black and whites, go wear like yellow or something. Wear pink. I mean, I'm like, look, that one's going to be ridiculous. Oh, yeah. It is going to be a packed house. You could not have sold enough tickets for this one. It would still be full with Palmeiras and Botafogo on Saturday at noon in Philly. But I want to ask about Botafogo specifically, because part of the hook with John Texter and Lyon getting relegated to Ligue 2 was the idea, hey, French governing body, French taxman, here's what I'll do. I'll slide financials. I'll slide money from the Botafogo bank account to the Lyon bank account to cover my Lyon debts. And the French taxman was like, nah, fam, that ain't going to work. And I mention this because right now FIFA is mad at Botafogo, well, actually technically Eagle Football Holdings, because of not paying Atlanta United $21 million in two separate transactions. FIFA came out in favor of Atlanta United in two separate judgments against Eagle Football Holdings because they didn't pay for the Thiago Almada transaction.
So, and then, hold on, Thiago is involved in a negotiation with Benfica. So Thiago might be ending playing for Benfica Okay, so that's another ingredient to this to this thing. Yeah.
So and so you've got so what when an American came in and bought Botafogo, what was the thought? What was the initial thought about John Textor and Eagle Football Holdings coming in to buy Botafogo? What was the initial thought there from the fans from what you were able to glean? Were they hip to this? Did they care?
I mean, in Brazil, there's this pride, right? There's a pride of Brazilians that that's the why they didn't even have a head coach that was not Brazilian up until Ancelotti. But things are changing now. You know, the things are changing now. They're kind of, okay, if you're going to come in, you're going to put money down, you're going to improve our team, you're welcome. That's how Brazilians are, man. Brazilians are welcoming people. But if you fail to them, we'll see about the decisions, right? We'll see about the decisions, because when Brazilians are getting mad, I think Brazilians are getting mad, I think they are the most dangerous individuals in this continent. Okay, I'm telling you that. There's even I hear, the Barra Bravas from Argentina saying like, "Oh, Brazil, Brazilians are rough. All right, they're dangerous." Okay. And they're telling Barra Bravas from Argentina they're the most dangerous ones too. So just be careful with your decisions. Be careful with your decisions, because if they don't like something, they're gonna make you feel it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So your final topic, I do want to find out what you think about some of the other matchups in the Club World Cup this weekend before you get out of here. Universitario and the sounds of a tri-peat for Universitario. Hit me.
So in Peru, right? So there was Universitario has been leading for the last. They were not on the top for only 1 week in the entire Apertura, but they went in the slump and then lost 3 in a row. And there were controversies, decisions and all that. But then they bounced back. They won once, twice, 3 times in a row. And not only that, their competitors, they're not keeping up. So there were like a 2-point gap between Universitario and Alianza. Now it's a 5-point gap with 6 points to go. And all the other competitors that they were so hot, like Alianza Atlético, they won 7 in a row. You got Melgar, won 5 in a row. Everybody was on fire, right? The top 5. But then this start to sliding, falling behind, dropping points here, dropping points there. And the reality is, this is not because I'm a Universitario fan. It's not because of that. All right, let's clarify this. Universitario has the most solid team in the Liga 1. Whereas where the other teams, they got strikers. You got one striker can score 10, 15 goals. No. They diversify the goal scoring capacity in Universitario. And you got one guy with 6, 2 guys with 5, 2 with 4. So everybody can score in Universitario. If my number 9 doesn't score, I don't care. I got my left back I can score. I got my right back I can score. I got my center mid can score. Everybody can score in Universitario. That's why that's the power of Universitario right now. How they diversify the ways to get the goal. And nobody else in the top 5 has that. That's the big difference right there. And on top of that, they got the biggest goal differential. They got 35. It's a plus 17. It's plus 17.
Damn.
And Alianza has plus 9 with the next competitor. So even if they match up with the numbers, goal differential is there. And I have no doubt that they're going to win the three-peat. 3 years in a row winning the Liga 1 in Peru, for sure.
Dang. 3x3. Okay, rapid fire before we send you on your way and find out what you're calling on GOLTV. Palmeiras, Botafogo, what happens?
Palmeiras.
Okay, they're favored. Benfica and Chelsea, what happens?
Oh, Jesus. I can't. Penalties. Shootout.
Okay.
Chelsea.
Plus 242. Flamengo and Bayern, what happens?
Flamengo.
Ooh, plus 366. Taking that one.
There you go.
Fluminense and Inter. What happens?
Oh, crap. Eh, look at this. I'm taking flu on this one.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm taking the Brazilians.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you calling this week?
I don't have it yet. I don't have my thing up yet. Why? I didn't check it. I didn't check it. Hold on a second, man. What am I calling? Hold on. Don't go. Don't go.
Like I'm trying to ask you about the Intermedio, and you're like, I don't know what I'm calling yet.
Oh, they just sent me the thing. Wait a second. Hold on. Got it here. I know I got it. They put it on my schedule, man. Gee. Right here. Da-da-da. June 16th? No, we're not in that one. Crap. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Hold on a second. Don't go.
Not going.
Jesus. Okay, intermediate. All right, here we are. We're calling Defensor Sporting Plaza Colonia.
Okay.
They got the Boston River fans in Kentucky. They'll be happy. And we got Phoenix. No, that's not Phoenix. That's hold on. Where do you go? It's Sunday, 1 p.m. Racing Club versus Montevideo City Torque.
Okay. Good deal. And as we tell folks, you can go to our friends at Fanatics, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you can catch up with our man, Nino Torres, and GOLTV and everything that he calls all season long. We love him very much. We're glad that he's with us. We get to take the tour of the planet and find out what's going on. And it is cold, and he's wearing a sweatshirt. So that's I'm right there with you, brother. Give me the beach and give me like 72 degrees, and I'm good to go. This whole 50s and everything with wearing sweatshirts, that ain't going to play for me.
I know. And by the way, I can say now, I know I text you. I send you a message and everything, bro. Happy belated birthday. You sharing birthday with Messi, man? Come on, brother. Huh? Yeah. I'm gonna ask Leo to send you a jersey, man.
You see, well, but I mean, it's got to be like Newell's or something. It can't be like the pink one or Barca. That's easy. Give me old school. Let me go back to the beginning. Give me something from the beginning.
Oh, maybe a freaking Newell's Old Boys. Oh.
Yeah. See, yeah. Give me an NOB if you're going to do something like that, or maybe you could catch up with your friends over at Universitario and get me like a XXX, and I could wear that.
We can see. We can do that. Yeah. We can do that.
But yeah. So no, the boss and I are leaving here today. We're heading back to the Casa later today, and we'll be back to normal because her birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, that's super nice, man.
Nice. Literally, it is like in my family, I've got like 3 or 4 birthdays that are within like 6 days of each other. Our man Nicolifi had his birthday yesterday here at SDH, and so we're June. We're like June folks, and that's just how it rolls.
June 2nd.
Nice. Yeah, because my sister's June 1st, and so you're June 2nd. So we're all June people for a reason. That's why we're together the way that we are.
Yes, sir.
I love you very much, my friend. Thank you for the warm wishes as always. Thank you for all the education that you give us, and we will catch up with you next week, and we will find out how Nino Damas has picked the Club World Cup. We love you very much. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me. See you next week.
All right, Nino Torres, everybody. And so it's always fun to catch up with Nino and find out what's going on in and around the planet. And yeah, so it is an education with our man Nino. And it's always cool to catch up with him and get the lay of the land and get his perspectives on everything, because as confined as we think we are, as small as you think the universe is, when it comes to the sport that we talk about every single day, it's not. And there's a lot that intertwines. There's a lot that intermingles. There's a lot that comes together. There's a lot of things that mix and match, and all of the context and all of the subtext and all of the news and information that comes together. And, where can we have a conversation about Thiago Almada and the ownership group and how it applies to things going on with, contact that we've had in the past and where it could be heading in the future? That's why we like to have all the guests that we have here on a daily basis here on SDH, and we get to catch up with our buddy Nino Torres. Seriously, go watch him on GOLTV. I'm not kidding. It's always fun to go watch. So hot tag, last half hour of the show, and I know that there have been some thoughts about fandom and playing in Atlanta United and things like that. We'll get to that after as we wrap up and go to gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. So now we go to Seattle and catch up with our man Niko Moreno, who is styling the lid. He's ready to go. And so it is time to break down anything and everything going on in Club World Cup and Major League Soccer. How are you, my friend? What cup of coffee are you on?
What's going on, John? SDH family. We're on cup number 2 today. Try to stay up as late as I could to watch the most MLS games possible. And it was worth it. Some really decent games. I got to say that they kept me entertained. I'm glad I started with the San Diego game because you really got the juices flowing there early. But just excited to be on, guys. We are, at least in Seattle, done with the group stage of the Club World Cup. So now we're going to focus completely on MLS. So here we are.
All right. So I'll bite. Let's talk Club World Cup for a second before we get into MLS. And Sounders had 2 of their 3 group stage matches at home, and there was a lot of action going on at Lumen and at the Children's and the Providence and Swedish Bouncy House for practices and press conferences and such. When it came to the experience of Seattle in the Club World Cup, what do you think Seattle learned about itself on the world stage?
Ooh, as a team or as a city?
Yes. All of the
All
above.
right. Gotcha. So as a team, I think that the biggest takeaway for me is that the players can compete at the highest level, and at least a lot of them, right? There has to be a sense of pride that this group takes in after competing with the best of the best team in Europe, the best team in South America, and looked the part. Whether PSG wasn't necessarily in full force, as in not the group on the field, but just their demeanor or anything like that. That's nor here nor there. I think that Seattle definitely showed that they can play at that level. So, the Botafogo game was probably their best game, at least that second half where they put the South American champs against the ropes. They played their style. They were able to put them, under duress. They had plenty of chances. So there's got to be a sense of pride and encouragement moving forward that if you were able to do that and play your way with your concept, your principles at that level against that sort of competition, then you should be able to do it for the rest of the season pretty well. However, the same issues that have held this team back all season remain, and they were in full display throughout this tournament. And I have a hard time kind of going to those because everybody's reaction is like, well, yeah, but you were playing against Atletico and PSG. But the mistakes are the same. Unmarked man on top of the box, defensive woes when it comes to restarts, a throw-in that, ends up in the back of the net because of a bad clearance, inability to score, which is just a common denominator in every single game that the team has had in their last 5 or 6, 7 games. It's just inability to score, an offense that just seems to need one more component, one more piece. So although I do think that moving forward, this team is going to be unified by the experience they just had and the camaraderie that it takes to be part of a tournament of this caliber, and the mentality that it really takes for a team to be competitive. I do feel like the coaching staff and the players themselves need to ask themselves, could have we done a little bit better? What if we would have played a little bit better? Did we have a right to dream? I mean, Botafogo went through, right? That's the thing that you had against the ropes. So why not us, right? So that's kind of the mentality of it that I think there's a good and there's a bad. In terms of the city, man, I thought it was fantastic, man. I mean, the atmosphere was unreal. I think FIFA put together a phenomenal event, man. I mean, it felt different just walking through Occidental, the surrounding areas, the waterfront. It felt at a higher level than just a regular Saturday or Sunday MLS game. And the attendance was good. I think it could have been great, but because of a bunch of different circumstances in regards to how FIFA started ticketing and marketing those initial seats at a really, really high price and all of these things that were done incorrectly, I felt like maybe an opportunity was missed to see completely full stadiums, but the atmosphere, the community showed you that they want to see this sort of events. Again, I'll repeat, even those people that as I'm walking towards the stadium were like, yeah, I couldn't afford tickets, but we decided to come down right here because there were little watch parties outside of the stadiums, with restaurants and other places in the downtown area that had those sort of things. I just think that the community showed you that they are about the sport, and that the World Cup next year is going to be a huge, huge event in this city.
Yeah, and that was why I wanted to kind of ask about the lessons that might have been learned by Seattle as a city. Hopefully, FIFA, when it comes to dynamic pricing, when it comes to tickets and those kinds of things, that hopefully they'll learn about that stuff as well. But I did want to get your Club World Cup feedback before we got into what happened last night for the late night. And MLS After Dark, at least here, the last match on the board, San Diego and Vancouver. All right, so it wrapped up at 5-3. So what I'm going to do, and pardon the key light here in the hotel room, but all right, so the over-under at 7.5. The juice boxes were at a plus 5,000.
Wow.
For a 5-3 final.
That is insane.
Yeah, and only one juice box maker touched it and said, okay, yeah, plus 5,000. So 6.5 was plus 2025. 5.5 was plus 841. 4.5 was plus 432. So even if you thought it was going to be 3-2 craziness with all the absences that Vancouver had, you went 4.5 on the over. You were at a plus 432. 5.5 and plus 841. But yeah, 7.5 and one of the juice box makers just basically threw something up against the wall at a plus 5,000. I want to know if anybody bid on that. That would be my biggest question from the night.
It does get me encouraged to go above the 4.5, which is my usual top. Right, I usually don't go beyond that. A lot of times you don't have that option either. At some places, because I've tried, and believe me, I have. But quite honestly, this game was fun, was exciting. I think San Diego took advantage of a Vancouver team that was missing some pieces, but nonetheless, they did have a lot of their core guys. I don't want to take anything away from San Diego because, if anything, I think that Veras has done a great job at just understanding two things. One is the way he sets up into a game, that initial lineup, that initial approach, and then his ability to make adjustments throughout the game and kind of go off of what the game gives you. And, man, in this one, I was surprised that Iliski, right? He gets a hat trick on his first start ever. He's not a guy that I had on my bingo cards, by the way.
Literally, Milan Olaski at Orange County SC, he lit up USL Championship. But no, to your point, I did not have that translating to Major League Soccer.
No, and that's all I knew about him, was that he was a USL player, that he had a spell, I think, in Denmark or something, and then I was playing for St. Louis, and I always thought I would see him more as just a sub, a guy that was going to come in, give you some, a lot of effort, give you maybe a goal or two. But man, hat trick on his first start. I mean, that was insanity. I thought that he found space very well. I think that he was intelligent in his movement, but it all goes off of Dreyer. I think that that is the player that I have told you here very early on that he MVP conversation. He's a guy that I had to put in my ballot for MLS All-Star game. I mean, he's just been so good because of his versatility. He plays out wide. He plays as a false nine. Even when he's playing out wide, he's going to cut in those inside channels. He has great vision. And in this one, it was all at full display. They are such a good midfield as well. No Godoy in this one, but still, right? Travis Koff and Valakri doing a great job at midfield. I just really do think that this team has a little bit of everything. Even when it comes to those pieces coming off the bench, Tomas Angel, I feel like is very underrated. He comes in, he puts it in the back of the net. I mean, all in all, San Diego just dismantled Vancouver. However, I don't want to overreact. People are already saying, "Oh, Vancouver, it's the CCC, hangover." Maybe a little bit of that, but I feel like this is a team that is still trying to get itself together after that tournament. I don't know. I don't think it's going to prolong. I think they'll figure it out and they'll get back to their winning ways by next week.
Well, and they've also got folks that are kind of wearing national crests, and they're kind of busy there, so not necessarily a shock that they would be in these back and forths, or that they would be getting dinged where they've lost 2 in a row, and everybody's going, "Oh, they've only won once in their last 3, and they lost 2 in a row." It's like, bruh, they got so many folks on national duty right now that just let everybody come back. Then they come back to full song, and Jesper Sorensen will have everybody back in house, and everything should be back to where it was. Just take this for being midweek, international window, Gold Cup, all those things that are there in context, and apply it to the equation for what happened late last night. When you look at San Diego right now, Vancouver's got a match in hand because they've been kind of busy with the Triple C. So San Diego right now on top in the West. Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland, and then you start to go into the folks that are less than 30 points. San Jose, LAFC. LAFC's got 3 matches in hand. They've only played 16 because they've been kind of busy doing other stuff. Seattle, 18 matches and 26 points. Austin, 26 points, same record, but Seattle's got a match in hand. Colorado is your 9 right now at 25 points. Then you get into everybody else from the state of Texas. Dallas, Houston, Sporting. Sporting comes back from 1-0 down and beat Charlotte last night. I'm sure that everyone in Charlotte is going to be reacting calmly this morning to that one, yeah?
That one was a baffling 5 or 6 last minutes. It's incredible how you can be on, because they played well the entirety of the game, and in the last 6 minutes you just lay off the gas completely, and you can't handle the most basic over the top balls, and you allow bounce after bounce and player after player to get into your 18, and when you have a group like Sporting Kansas City that I do feel like they have a certain level of confidence, specifically in their attack, because Joveljic has given them that. And I think Manu as well. He's been very, very good for that team. Man, as soon as that first goal hit and the momentum completely shifted, all I was looking was the time. And hey, they did it in that amount of time. So unfortunate. I think Dean Smith, I would not want to be in that locker room, because I'm pretty sure that he blew a gasket after that game. But credit to Sporting Kansas City. We have seen this from Charlotte, unfortunately. This season, they've had moments where they're just not as sharp. And the vibes in the locker room aren't as great as they used to be. I'm still trying to figure out the Saha thing. Sometimes it looks really good. Sometimes it looks really ugly. In this one, it was fine. It was good. I mean, he was productive. He was involved, and, all good and well. But Charlotte is one of those teams that I'm still trying to figure out myself.
You ain't the only one. We'll go through a cliffhanger in just a little bit. All-Star team was named. First and foremost, I still want Major League Soccer to have their own All-Star game, and I don't think that you should continue to line yourself up against Liga MX Juve's D roster. Look, if it's an all-star game, make sure that it's entertaining. Play your players against your own players to showcase your league. That for me is my first issue with MLS All-Star Game. And like I said, in years past, we have taken 20 minutes back-to-back years, and I would suggest that folks go back into our archive and listen to our fixes for the MLS All-Star Game. We turned it into like the Royal Rumble. We had fun. We had hockey changes to where you didn't have to have the fourth hold up the light board. Literally, if you want to tag in or tag out, you just run, you tag somebody whether they're looking at you or not, and then you're in. If you want to run and you want to tag one of the MLS broadcasters in, like, and they can't change into an outfit. Like if Sasha Kleshchin or Kalen Kyle or Kevin Egan or Dax McCarty, if they're standing on the sideline, or Gio Savarese, if they're standing on the sideline and they're doing a live hit and you're playing and you tap them, they have no choice. In their street clothes, they've got to go in and play. Those are the kinds of fix, and you would have like Royal Rumble entrances where, every 2 minutes or something, you start with say 5-on-5, and then you go back and forth. Then after like 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, buzzer goes, smoke happens in an end zone. And then, oh my God, that's Valderrama's music, and then Carlos Valderrama comes in. It's a man of the past from Major League Soccer, and Carlos Valderrama comes out, he gives 2 minutes, or it's Ronaldinho. Oh my God, something like that to make it fun, to where you're not hurting your talent, you're not having injuries, and you're showcasing your league. What would you do for the MLS All-Star Game to make it look like you want to make it look, to promote Major League Soccer?
That's a tough question. I like your legendary card idea. That's kind of cool. You could see that golden card go up in the screens, and all of a sudden, here comes Roberto Carlos ready to go. Look, it's
like, there's a late set piece. Wait a second. Then you sit there and you go under the hood, and you sit there, and the buzzer goes off, and Roberto Carlos comes out. You gotta let him do a late set piece.
Look, I think it's very interesting, and I think that as it has happened in the NBA, and they have done a whole bunch of different things as time goes on, MLS eventually will have to do things differently. In this moment in time, it feels like the priority is trying to get people onto that stadium, right? So they've tried European teams. They know that there is no better fan base than the Mexican fan base. So, bringing an MLS All-Star is going to get the America fans, the Pachuca fans, the Monterrey fans. And that's why I don't know if MLS will let go of that lemon until it's all squeezed out. I really don't. They're going to continue to push that until it's no longer a thing, until it no longer gives them what they're looking for, which is just, money, names in the stand, the, promotions for the specific game. That's another one where Mexican, media, Mexican TV is they're great at ratings. I mean, you put some of those games into the N and all that, and they're killing in the ratings, right? So it's really hard to kind of beat that out. In terms of what I would do different, I like your thought process, right? Let's make it interesting. Let's make it different. Let's, maybe shorten the goals and go 8-on-8. Display your own talent. I've told you that a lot of players have told me that they would like it to be MLS, just because, look, it's more bonuses for our league. It's more our players. Everybody, that's 18 other guys that are going to be able to get this bonus, that are going to be in there. Maybe you do something like, the NBA does, and do your rookie class, right? Your newcomers, maybe the first and second year players against your, experience, or, have been here in the league for a long time. I think there's a ton of ways to do it, but I actually do not have a problem with the Liga MX part, just because there's that competitiveness between both leagues that I enjoy as well. I do like to see both leagues go at it, and it create this spark that even regardless of whether you're in a Liga MX fan or an MLS fan, you're going to want to see it. You want to see how they compare, how the talent kind of goes by, and so I don't mind it. But again, I do feel like once it goes stale, like the European thing went stale, they'll look for some other ways, and that's when maybe your brilliant ideas will come to fruition. Because I really do like him, and believe me, I really do like your suggestions.
Yeah, no, we had fun with it, and it was me and Nick and Jarrett, and literally we were, and the Twitch pitch got involved, and we came up with all of the Royal Rumble things and the hockey line changes where you didn't have to worry about the fourth holding up the game, to where it's 45 minutes, it's 45 minutes. You're playing 45-minute halves. You don't have to worry about sub. You don't have to worry about those kinds of things. Do the hot hockey change. Do those kinds of things. All right, so the roster in and of itself going up against Liga MX, and once again, take this thing for a grain of salt for what it is. St. Clair, Stuver, Takaoka in net. Defenders, Jordi Alba voted in. Arston, Blackman, Boxall, Alex Freeman voted in. Glesnes, Nahar, Miles Robinson, coach's selection. Midfielders, Sebastian Berhalter voted in. Very cool. DaCosta, Evander, Diego Luna, Tverskov, Zinkernagel, and then at forward, Ajimong, Baribo, Boanga, Dreyer, Lozano, Chucky Lozano, Messi, Rossi, Vasquez, Brian White. Sam Surridge is not on this list. I think that's probably one of the bigger snubs. I don't know if you've had a chance to analyze this list of folks. But once again, because you're going up against another side, you don't get to showcase your league, and you're going to have these kinds of snubs. And Surge, to me, I think, is on that list.
Sam has been unbelievable, and I just feel like he is part of a team that doesn't get as much exposure, or they're not as interesting as others. But man, Sam not only leads the league right now, but he seems like the most dangerous guy in the final third. Luke Baribo has been great, but Sam Surge can do so many more things. So I agree with you that that's a huge snub. I think Goodman not being part of this, and he was part of mine, I think that he is another guy that gets snubbed. In midfield, you knew that you were going to not get, some of the guys that you were hoping to see out there. I mean, Anthony did get injured, so, he was one of the guys that I kind of was hoping that got in there, but obviously he's not going to be there for other reasons. But all in all, when it comes to the entertainment part, I mean, I don't want to see. I don't want to see Jordi Alba. I don't want to see Jordi Alba out there. I would much rather see a guy like Goodman instead. I mean, these are the things that when it comes to being, selected or by the coaches or whatever, kind of forced in there, I don't necessarily love. But I gotta say that at least most of my guys are in there, so I can't be too mad at it. I feel like a goalkeeper, Coronel, should have been in there as well. I think he's been phenomenal, and whether it's statistically or what he's done with the Red Bulls, even just when it comes to the leadership component, I just thought that he deserved to be out there. No disrespect to Takaoka, he's been good, but to me, Coronel statistically has just been better.
Cliffhanger, a couple of matches heading into the weekend. Cali Classico, San Jose and LAG, late night on Saturday. San Jose is a -116, draws a +300. LAG is a +262.
LAG's, yeah, I could see that. I don't know if I want much of that. Maybe the goal differential would be interesting in this one. That could be one that I would not mind taking the 3.5 on. I mean, you just saw it with them in Dallas, right? I mean, it was back and forth. San Jose's strengths continued to be the attack. Dallas, within their own limitations, were able to put San Jose under some serious duress. So what's the goal component on that one? Because I'm interested.
3.5 is a -109. 4 is a +155. 4.5 is a +210.
Woo. You know what? I don't mind the 4.5. And
okay,
let's leave it at that. Let's leave it with the 4.5. But I think that one's going to be a high-scoring game. there isn't much to love about the Galaxy, man. I was watching that Colorado game, and they look so uninspired, and they look like a team that even when they have possession, even when they're on the ball, there's no confidence. There is literally no one on that field is going to make a difference. Against San Jose, you're going to need some of that. And I feel like that might help LA Galaxy because they do play at a higher tempo and they do play better against a team like San Jose. But I still think San Jose will come up on top. I feel like they're just too good offensively. I feel like Chicho Arango is in such good form. I just really like what they're doing on the attacking end. So I'll probably take San Jose and the goals.
All right. Seattle, minus 149. Hosting Los Verdes, Austin FC. Austin is a plus 400, basically. Draw is a plus 276.
I'm going draw. 276 sounds pretty good. I would probably do, if there was a 3.5 for that one, I would probably, I really do see this game being more of an open game or of a 2-2. Seattle, I don't know who's going to play defense. Reed Baker-Whiten is injured. John Bell has a red card. New has a red card. Stu Hawkins has a quad injury that he is not going to be able to recover from. Yemer was in the bench, I feel like, just for show, really, against PSG because he's still struggling to get back from that calf strain. So, yeah, man, I really don't know how they're going to line up because that's all your guys. Kim Ki-hee probably will be available. We haven't been at Providence and Swedish Performance in Clubhouse yet. I'll be there later on today. But I'm interested to see what the idea is. They might have to bring up some players from the Tacoma Defiance and figure something out. But all in all, it just tells me that San Jose should be able to score some goals. But I do feel like Seattle will have a little bit of a motivation to be really on the front foot. I feel like they started games pretty well for the most part in this Club World Cup. I feel like there were moments where, you know, the first 10 minutes against PSG were really good. The first 15, 20 minutes before that goal by Botafogo, I thought they were really good. So I do think that they're going to be on the front foot, but this is going to be a game where your Achilles heel is going to be your back line. And I do feel like Austin has enough to put you under duress. So, yeah, I like the 2-2 draw.
3.5 is a plus 234.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Okay. Figured you might. Once you were mentioning 4 and I saw the 234 for 3.5, I'm like, yeah, he's going there. Crew and Philadelphia, Sunday night at 6. Crew at home, a minus 123. Union, a plus 309 on the road at Columbus. Draws a plus 280.
Ooh, look, the Union are 11 games undefeated. Even without Baribo, they were able to just pull it off there. Defensively, they just look good. God, I don't know what the St. Louis fans are thinking right now of how good this Carnell Philadelphia team is doing, man. But, oh, man, I would be very upset if I was a St. Louis fan for sure. But I think Columbus also has started at least yesterday with a bang, and they look so fluid, so many numbers forward. That's a difficult one, man. I'll probably go with the draw on this one. I think Philadelphia is really good defensively. I think they'll try to limit Columbus. I don't think that they're going to be afraid of working in transition at times. I mean, we know that Cornell's game is high pressure and don't make you get out of the bag. I feel like that'll create some issues, but I like the draw in this one as well.
Okay, and then the last one on the board is LAFC hosting Vancouver. LAFC is a minus 128. Vancouver is a plus 346 on the road at BMO. Draws a plus 260.
Give me Vancouver. Okay. I'm going to go with a bounce-back game by Vancouver, even without their big boys on the field. LAFC, man, they've struggled, and they look bad in this Club World Cup. I would say that regardless of them getting a point in it, I feel like Seattle just looked better on the field. And LAFC to me seems like a team where there's a lack of spirit. And look, I don't want to blame Steve for all of it, but I'm always going to go back to that moment when he decided that it was a fantastic idea to tell your team that you weren't coming back. And he just feels like a team that's out of gas. It's unmotivated. Is the Denny Buanga show, and let's figure out what he does and how he gets us out of this. I felt like La Perla Martinez has digressed in his, I don't know, progress as a soccer player in general. He just doesn't have the same influence that he had. I thought that the team defensively tends to be exposed a lot when it comes to the transition moments. So look, Vancouver is very good at exposing that. You still got Vite, you still got Kubas. I like Rios. I think that they'll pull it through in this one. I'm definitely going to lock in on Vancouver.
All right, I know you're heading to the Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and Cookout Extravaganza. So what do folks need to know with you and your travels with Sounded Heart and Pulso Sports?
Cookout Extra, I like that. Yeah, so go ahead and check out Pulso Sports. We have a ton of stuff from the Club World Cup. We still got some stuff that we got to upload from the River Inter Milan game. But look, we got, and it's already like translated, so you guys don't even have to, think about it. But FIFA did a great job with the translations when it came to their videos. So we got Luis Enrique talking about the Club World Cup, how although Sounder players and MLS thinks that the grass at Lumen Field was fantastic because they never really touched good grass, Luis Enrique hated it. He's like, man, it's just not good enough, man. The ball bounces like a bunny. It's what he said. He said you could water it all you want, but it's dry in 10 minutes. It was really interesting hearing from Hakimi and Luis Enrique about everything that they felt and saw here at Lumen Field. So go ahead and check that out. We also have Koke. We have Giuliano Simeone. All of those guys, you can go ahead and check them out at Pulso Sports. And, of course, what happens here later on today in the Sounders Clubhouse. On Friday, what we learned this week with Jeremiah Shan and the Nos Arietes and Sounder Our Heart podcast network. And then on Monday, Love and Scorches, of course, with Ari Lillenwall, where we'll break down what happened throughout the weekend and probably what happened in midweek as well.
No doubt about it. As always, my friend, great to see you. And go finish your second cup of coffee, head to your third, head to the Bouncy House and Cookout Extravaganza, and we'll catch up with you.
I got you, big man. Take it easy.
All right, Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. Okay, let me go back in to where we left off when it came to conversations. And there was a point from Tom that and Emilio in the conversations that you guys were having. Emilio had a point when players appear not to care, how should fans keep up their intensity? I mean, there are times, and fans also feed off the play on the field. Player contribution seems less than the fans, even those who cover the team don't know what's in the players' heads. I mean, that's true. We don't know unless the players are forthcoming. But what I would posit, Emilio, when it comes to the fans and their involvement is this. There are times where, much like when it comes to teammates, that for fans that are just as much a part of the club as the players and the front office people and everyone who's attached and doing the day-to-day, that there are times where you are needed just as much as a fan, if not more, to help with that emotional engagement. Because there are times, I would imagine, when you're going through a difficult moment where, I mean, and don't even attach it to a club, attach it to your own day-to-day. When you're having a rough go with something, and and you get a friend who dials you up and sits there and goes, "How you doing?" And you're like, "Oh man, it's been rough," and then you go through your day and explain everything that's been going on and how you're trying to accomplish something, but it's been kind of rough. What does it mean to you when you have someone dial you up or shoot you a text or sit there and pass by you wherever you're standing and they sit there and you say something positive. It's like, I believe in you. You're doing great work. Keep it going. Can't wait to see how it's finished. You're great at what you do. To get that kind of encouragement helps push you through when times are difficult. So it's something that comes through unsolicited. As a fan for a club, I would anticipate that there are times when you are needed in those kinds of situations, So it is, and I know that you're frustrated. You're not the only ones that are frustrated about the whole thing. But at the same time, when you are, and I'm not going to say when you're requested, but when you know that your team that you follow is going through crap, to give that, to when you're there on a match day and things look like they're a slog and it's difficult, to give that extra encouragement to help push a team through a difficult time, to help push them through a difficult situation. That kind of stuff is invaluable. That's why we always talk about fans, and that's why we always talk about, and that's why I mention a lot, and that's why Jason and Maddie and Nick and Jarrett and all of us here, we always mention how important it is as a fan for your favorite club, regardless if it's Atlanta United or college football or whatever. Teams making a comeback, in college basketball, they're down 10 or down 11. And you can sense, they were down 20, they're down 11. Momentum has changed. And then, you're there and you hear the crowd when you're watching a game on TV. You hear the crowd, balls being dribbled up the floor. Then, offense gets in rotation set. And then you knock down a 3. The margin's 8. The building comes alive. Even more so because they're seeing what has been happening. And like I said, I'm just using basketball as an example. If it's in hockey and you're down 2 and you pull the goalie for the extra attacker, you get that empty net goal, you're down 1 and there's still time on the clock, how the energy in the building changes. You're down a goal, you're down a couple of goals, you score that 1 goal, the energy changes. And I know because I've seen it happen inside Mercedes-Benz, just as an example. When you feel the energy change, or when you know that the energy can change because of your own environment, the fans, yes, Emilio, feed off the play on the field, but at the same time, the players feed off of you just as much. If they can sense that you're behind them, there's a possession late, you're down a goal, you're pushing it, you've been a part of it in that building, where that energy at 43,000 or the energy at 70,000 plus turns it, and you can't hear what's going on next to you. You're to thank for that. You're a part of this as much as the players are. And in those moments where they need you more, that's why we talk about being there in addition, and being there as that extra push, not just as that normal push, but as that extra push to get them to the other side, to help them, because they feel off that energy. They feed off of that energy, and they feel what's going on. If there's nothing going on and they're trying, and fans aren't feeding that extra energy, they feel that too. So athletes, regardless of sport, regardless of club we're talking about, regardless of team that we're talking about, they feel that energy. They feel it when you don't give it. They feel it when you do. They feel it when you need to give it, or when I think that you would need to give it. So for the fans, be there for them, because if the players appear not to care, you can remind them of what's important, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of where I was going with with all of that. Then let's see. So Emilio and Uncle and getting into preparation, and all of those things. So once again, thanks to everybody who's been in here this morning. And so it's been a lot of discussion this morning, and thank you for all of that talk in the Twitch pitch. All right, let me get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. Apparently, Cristiano Ronaldo is not done. He signed a new 2-year deal with Al Nassr. So, Mazel tov, congratulations, and go for it. So, yes, we're happy for Al Nassr fans, and congratulations for the next 2 years about having Cristiano Ronaldo as a part of the discussion. Arsenal, according to TalkSport, threatened to hijack Tottenham's pursuit of Eberechi Eze. A release clause of around £68 million in the Palace contract. Crystal Palace's ace would be a cheaper option than Rodrigo, who is also on Arsenal's radar. Eze became a target for Spurs after they briefly looked at Brian Mbeumo, and now it looks like Mbeumo once again heading for Manchester United. So keep an eye on Eberechi Eze and what his look is going to be in the future. So keep an eye on that. Okay. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And Wiley, I understand. And I understand that Wiley, that you're frustrated. Wiley, I get that. I legitimately do. That you're frustrated, that your will and your pocketbook are running low. I get that. And it is not, for a double negative, it is not an inexpensive proposition to invest what you do. Just, so all anyone can ask is that you do your best, whatever that entails, emotionally, financially, physically, what have you. Just do your best. But just remember that the investment isn't just strictly A to B. There are times where the margins change and the percentages change. It's not just a straight 50-50. It's not just a straight 50-50 give and take. Sometimes you give more, sometimes the team gives more. That's literally just how it is, regardless of the sport that we're talking about. Okay. Let me get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And like I said, I know we're over, and tomorrow it'll be getting ready for the weekend. We'll go through all the juice boxes for the matchups, Club World Cup, Major League Soccer, all the things. And like I said, we are efforting our guests, and we'll see who we can have as a part of the Friday free-for-all and let you know what's going on. Okay. No, I don't care about a Jeep. I don't care about a Jeep. Okay. So once again, we'll keep an eye on your headlines here. No. Pop-up windows. I hate them. Liverpool have joined Manchester United and Arsenal in the race to sign Victor Gyökeres. Forgot to ask Nico about that. Chelsea edging closer to a deal to sign Jamie Gittins, Bundesliga side holding out for a £50 million fee. United may accept bids around $45 million to secure a quick sale of Alejandro Garnacho. It's from the other 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Newcastle looking at the likes of PSV Eindhoven winger Johan Bakayoko and Dortmund attacker Karim Adeyemi if they're unsuccessful in their pursuit of Anthony Elanga from Forest. United struggling to sell Tiro Malacia, who helped PSV Eindhoven win the Eredivisie when he was on loan last year. Sunderland have held talks with Nice over Marcin Bolka. We talked about Bolka yesterday with Fabrizio Romano with that news. Everton have started negotiations with Villarreal over the signing of Tierno Bari and have not ruled out paying the £34 million release clause. City have rejected a £6.5 million bid from Hoffenheim for England U21 defender Callum Doyle, 4-letter paper. Everton still in the hopes of signing Kenny Tete on a free, despite reports from Fulham having offered a new contract. Benfica have yet to receive an offer from Real Madrid after the La Liga giants were linked with Alvaro Carreras, who only joined the Lisbon club last year from Manchester United. All right, so let's check in with Ben Jacobs. Apparently, by the way, get this, from the Telegraph. Tom Morgan at the Telegraph. Juve's Weston McKennie and Timothy Weah are facing the wrath of Italy after criticizing the nation's famous cuisine. The Americans unwisely agreed in an appearance on a recent podcast that the food, since they arrived in Turin, quote, has no variety, end quote. They went on to suggest U.S. restaurants were better. Their comments prompted Emiliano Viviano, the former keeper, to suggest in mock dismay that Italy's prime minister should take away their visas. It was on the Talk With Us podcast. Quote, McKinney, you guys don't have variety. It's pasta, pizza, fish, steak. You know what the problem is with Italian food? It's great. It's good specific food that you do very well. But in America, if I go to a burger joint or a steakhouse, then I go to another place 10 minutes down the street, I'm still eating a burger, but it's a completely different taste. In Italy, I go to this restaurant and get a pesto pasta. I go 10 minutes down the street and order a pesto pasta. It's the same thing. Weah agreed. He prefers Italian-American food to the real thing. Comments caused the inevitable outrage in Italy, with Viviano telling TV Play, the United States is the country with the worst food in the world. They would even deep fry the soles of their shoes. If I was Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, I wouldn't let him back into Italy. How can you say there's no variety in Italian cuisine? His very definition of variety irritated me. McKinney, there are 200 million of you Americans, and all you ever eat are hamburgers. Truth is, all the food in America was brought there by other nations. I just want to tell McKinney that he has achieved the incredible feat of managing to unite all of Italy against him. It's not about the fans anymore. He can be insulted by absolutely everybody. So, watch what you're saying about food. Watch what you're saying about food, people. That's all I'm saying. And also, with our man Nick Alifi, I don't know if Nick has seen this article, but I'm going to send it to him so he can see what's going on and really be mad at Juve. Kepa has already passed his Arsenal medical ahead of the £5 million move from Chelsea. This is from Ben Jacobs. We mentioned Eberici Eze being a target, £68 million release clause. Rodrigo remains of interest. Real winger discussing his future with Xabi Alonso before deciding whether to explore an exit. Real are prepared to sell for around €90 million. Arsenal in talks to sign Valencia defender Christian Mosquera, according to Hand of Arsenal. Mosquera can play center back and right back. Keen on the move with Arsenal, optimistic a deal can be completed. We mentioned Birmingham City and Al Ettifaq. They have now reached an agreement in principle for Damari Gray. It's a free. Ettifaq retain a significant sell-on. Gray is now finalizing personal terms. All goes well. Plan goes to the boyhood club. Cristiano Ronaldo extended to 2027 when he'll be 42. He needs 44 goals to reach 1,000. Ronaldo has equity in Al Nassr as a part of his new contract. Frank Onyeka's future, one to watch, even though Arsenal landing Norgard could influence Brentford's position on a sale. Clubs expected to make approaches in the coming weeks. Several teams have Onyeka on the radar, including Burnley, Stuttgart, and Fiorentina. Let's see. Andre Duda has now agreed to terms with Al Ettifaq and due to undergo a medical. We talked about that yesterday. Richard Hughes, again, key in the Milos Kirkesh deal, £40 million below Bournemouth's original 45. Preferable payment terms secured. Kirkesh is now talking publicly about it. Lewis Skelly, a new 5-year deal with Arsenal. That is on the board. Darwin Nunez giving preference to Napoli. And Matthias Geisla's agent and SEG founder Kees Vos confirms exclusive news. The Al-Ahly boss prefers to stay rather than leave for Europe, although he adds Geisel has not been able to agree to an extension. Al-Ahly offered Geisel improved terms in May, but not an extension. All right, before we get out of here, once again, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and we will proceed there. And then that should be it for the day. Soccer on TV. Once again, you end up with Club World Cup. The 3-game window for the women opens in Colorado. Juve Manchester City on TNT. Simulcast on Tuda NA and Unimas. Season Pass has MLS Next Pro, Union 2 and Revs 2 at 7 o'clock. DAZN, Juve Manchester City at 3. Wydad and Al Ain at 3. Al Hilal Pachuca at 9. Salzburg Real Madrid at 9. TBS's International Friendly, USA and Ireland's at 9. Simulcast on Universo, Max, Peacock, and True TV. So that'll do it for today. Thanks for hanging out late. You guys are awesome. And we'll do it again tomorrow, back in Office HD. And we'll have all kinds of fun getting you ready for the weekend. Club World Cup, MLS, all the things, chasing guests, back at it on a Friday. Since it's the end of the show, mucho plati, all play it safe. We're going to do this. Bye.